Hey, Riddle here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if it's your first time. It's going to be a rambling video about the peace and security that a garden brings you. It's interesting more than ever because of this challenge we're in right now. People are reaching to grow food and raise chickens and be more self-sufficient. They are realizing just how fragile and compromised life can get when you're not prepared, and how fragile and compromised our actual supply system is. Recently, I've gone to the store a handful of times to not find eggs and to not find other really basic things. The thing is, a garden is so much more than just growing food or growing beautiful things. We're looking out on my property here in Santa Cruz, California. We're getting some much needed rain, so we're in a heavy fog bank right now. We're looking at my cherry trees that are opening up right now in full bloom, and a gorgeous little apple tree down here. So the thing that a garden does is it gives you exercise because you're forced to deal with it. It teaches you commitment because you can't treat a garden inconsistently. You can't care for it inconsistently, or the results are obvious. And most of all, in these times and in life, the garden is a teacher of problem solving. And so when I tell people that I grow food, and I tell people that, gardening is my thing, and they think that's so cute, they think that's a novelty or a hobbyist thing. Well, actually, having a garden is not just a hobby, it's a discipline. If you're doing it correctly and doing it successfully, and you're actually growing enough food to sustain yourself, you understand what I'm talking about. Because everything from addressing all the animals that attack the garden, to insects, to disease, to making sure you're planting at the right time and planting your seeds at the right time, it all adds up to being an amazing teacher for you. Because if you can grow a garden successfully, and if you can grasp the disciplines and problem solving that a basic vegetable garden brings you, and you can apply those same basic principles to life, you will be unstoppable. And in these times, it's really important, more than ever, that we are going to learn to adapt and be creative, and to embrace those things we can control and let go of the things we can't. So instead of sitting around and getting caught up in all the things that I can't control, and all the worry and all the pain and all the death and all the suffering, you can tell I've been a very, very, very busy gardener. Another thing that gardening teaches you and nature teaches you is that, you also learn to let go. Sometimes shit just dies, and it happens to me too. Even though I think I'm a pretty excellent gardener, sometimes it's just the way life is, because that's what makes life life. Without death, we don't have life. Now, I want to share with you one of my cool success stories out here right now. About 8 or 9 years ago, my spouse and I were looking at this amazing old home. It was like an old Spanish villa outside of Los Angeles, California, in a little suburb called Tahunga. And outside of the property was this tree. And though the tree was not being watered or cared for, it was very robust, and the tree was covered with this fruit, and the bees were all over this fruit and just eating it like crazy. And I'd never seen this fruit ever in the grocery store. So it looked like a peach without the fuzz, and it was a smooth skin, but when we bit into it, it tasted like vanilla custard. And we fell in love with this, and after doing some research, it turned out to be a South American fruit called sapote. I think it's pronounced sapote. and or custard fruit. So we took the fruit and we germinated about 12 seeds. We successfully grew 7 little trees from those seeds, but then we moved several times after that. And out of those 7 trees, 9 years later, this is a tree that I put in the ground, and it has never done anything. 9 years, I carried this thing around in pots. I planted it at different houses and then pulled it out and transplanted it at the next house. And the tree did nothing. I fed it, I babied it, and this tree did nothing. So I had a conversation with the tree this year and I said, listen, tree, if you're not going to produce, I am taking you out and putting in something that will. And guess what? Don't know if you can see it, but right here, my friends, are flowers. So she is trying to produce some fruit for me. Only on that one branch, but I'm glad that she and I have an understanding now. And I don't think, the thing is, there may not be, it may be too cold here for her. There may not be another tree to pollinate her, but it just kind of shows you the type of dedication that a serious gardener has. Is growing something from seed and not giving up on it for practically a decade. And that, again, translates. It translates into all parts of my life, be it my art career, my relationships with people, or how I care for myself. Diet and exercise, lots of self-discipline. Here's a lovely little thing that a lot of people don't know about. And they are blooming early, and I'm uncertain why. Some people call this gentleman's garlic. It's also called Chinese flat leaf chives or Chinese flat leaf onions. And the real delicacy with the Chinese food is when these little flowers come up, but the flowers bloom. They actually bloom white, but these ones are purple. I'm sorry, my camera will not focus on this little thing. Well, anyways. But what I do is, not only are these really strong to have in the garden, and they have a nice onion garlic flavor, but I will save these flowers and dehydrate them and make this beautiful purple powder that has a really strong onion flavor. And you can use that in different gourmet garnishings with this beautiful lavender colored powder. This dead grassy thing I just planted last year. This is actually lemongrass, and these things will grow huge, but right now it's dormant, so we're waiting for it to come back to life. How I use lemongrass when I'm cooking in a soup, because I don't like picking the little chunks out, is I will take the actual grass and braid it into a nice healthy ring and drop the whole ring into my soup and allow it to boil to extract the flavor from it. Look at these little beauties. This is wild columbine, and this just came up, and I just leave it to attract the bees. But what a magnificent flower. There's one of my fake owls to try to scare some of the rodents away. This blackberry bush I planted last year, it starts down here. I'm going to try to get a view of it over the fence for you. It starts down there, and it is spread both directions. Look at this. It has spread literally probably 15 to 20 feet in both directions. So hopefully it's going to bloom out. I've got the soil right, and it's not too acidic or too alkaline, and I'm going to have a ton of blackberries and raspberries if I can get to them before the birds do. Here's one of my favorites. I have these growing all over the yard now. This is a Cape gooseberry. If you live in a mild climate, it's also called a Cape ground cherry. Mine perennialize. This giant trellis I built over here is actually covered with them. And because we have such a mild climate here, they will produce fruit year round for me. And this fruit is, it's in the tomato family, the nightshade family, so it's not high in sugar, but it's crazy high in vitamins and antioxidants. So I've been taking cuttings of it, and I have just been planting these all over the yard, anywhere they can grow, because they're so delicious. They dehydrate fantastic, so they're great in cereals or just to eat as a hiking snack. And power packed with vitamins, easy to grow, and I've yet to see like insects attack them or what have you. And even now, in the very beginning of spring, end of winter, look at this. And the flavor of this, ooh la la, is so good. Really, I don't know how to describe it. You have to try one to believe it. Now this one I didn't get to soon enough, so it's split open. So I'll probably just let this seed, because like I said, I want a damn farm of these because they are so robust and such a delicious fruit. Rhubarb's looking good. Rhubarb's another one of those really great, easy to grow plants. They don't do super well here. Don't let me deceive you. It's just because it's early spring that they're looking this good, and the animals really like burrowing underground and getting to the roots before I can get to them. But I'll probably make some nice pie or some jam or something out of what I get here. Strawberries. Strawberries are looking great. You probably saw my strawberry video. I only planted a couple dozen of these a year ago, and they have spread like wildfire everywhere. I'm doing these Chinese mawberries. They produce large, gorgeous fruit, and the leaves are actually medicinal and good for respiratory health and other things. You can actually eat the leaves as greens, and these ones are in pots, but we also have them planted all over the yard. At this point, we got cuttings going, and that's the thing when you experiment and it's successful, overly successful, it's so hard to let go of plants. You know, if you start your own seeds, you know that you kind of second guess yourself, and then you have 600 tomato plants, and it's so hard to even let one die after you put your heart and soul into it. Okay, there's some blueberries. Look at these sweet little things. I love the blueberry, that the blueberry flower is the same shape as the actual fruit. I have not, blueberries don't do super great for me here because it's a little too warm, but I'm still trying. I have 2 bushes going, and I have to learn how to prune them because they're very specific with the way they like to be pruned. And I for some reason, I have the hardest time grasping pruning concepts, even when I read it straight out of the book. This is an almond tree. I don't really recommend getting an almond tree. They want way too much water, so they're kind of an ecological nightmare. This one is about 5 years old now, and it is a fast grower, but it has never really produced a lot of almonds for me. Perhaps I need more than 1 tree. There is a fruit on here somewhere to show you, but it's getting so dark out, we're going to have a hard time finding it right now. My peas are coming up. I got them in really late. Now, if you live in other parts of the country, you're fine, but they say get them in around here. You want to get them in around St. Patrick's Day, so they'll be fine. I planted enough of them in a couple different kinds. The thing about peas that is amazing that people don't know is you can eat the tender shoots. So you know the tips as they vine out, those tender, like at the end of the vines, once they get to a certain length and they start to produce the peas, don't just pick the peas. You cut those tender shoots, gently stir fry those, and they taste just like peas. And it acts as a leafy vegetable in your food. Isn't that cool? So that's why I plant a lot of extra peas, because I use it as a vegetable and I also use the peas. So this is a San Marzano plum. Oh no, Santa Rosa plum, and I planted it next to an elephant plum because that way they help to pollinate each other. They actually don't have to be the same tree to pollinate each other. And this, I have to say, the growth on this Santa Rosa plum has been really impressive. And they're not very old yet, and they just flowered. They flower so early, it's really hard for them to get pollinated. But see my little plums there? There's little plums. So if the animals don't get to them before I do, I don't mess up. I should get a handful of this and that according to these flowers. The one thing I'm waiting to see, I also planted these damson plums. I was turned on to these plums when I was traveling through France with some friends a year or so ago. And it's just a great, small, deep blue, super sweet plum. They also come in like this yellow color. I'm not sure if those are still considered damsons. But this year, just like last year, I don't know why, but the leaves have come out with the tree, but it didn't flower at all. So I might have messed up. One of two things has happened because I have two of these trees because I really wanted them to cross-pollinate and have a lot of plums. Here's the other damson plum over here. Either where I live doesn't get cold enough, because that's the trick. Often when you go to Costco or you go to these garden centers, they will sell this great selection of fruit trees, but you have to do the research and find out how many hours of freezing the tree actually needs in order to produce fruit, because they sell all these incredible varieties of fruit trees here, but many of them are incompatible to our environment. So you get so excited and you take the damn thing home, you plant it, and it's growing, it produces leaves and looks beautiful every year, but never flowers or produces fruit. So that's a good tip for you that I've never shared with you before. So I am just hoping that this is one of those fruit trees that the flowers come out after the foliage, because I'm not seeing any signs, second year in a row, of any type of flower on it. And that makes me sad because I really love these plums. They're so delicious. Same thing with my little apricot trees I planted. I don't see any signs of flowers on them yet this year, but they're still pretty young. They may just be one of those trees that have to be 5 years or older in order to produce something. Here's a beautiful little pomegranate bush. We started this from a cutting. Yes, you can start a pomegranate from a cutting, and it's kind of beaten down by the rain right now, but it's very healthy and will eventually produce. Here's a goji berry, another really great, easy vine to grow. And fresh goji berries are lovely. But again, what's even better than eating the fruit of the goji berry once they go crazy, again, mine struggles because we don't have the sun, we don't have the heat. This isn't the ideal climate for it. But the goji berry, they send out these tender shoots, and the Chinese actually use these prolific tender shoots because in the warmer, more humid environments, they just grow like weeds, and they use those tender shoots as stir fry. And just like the goji berry being so full of antioxidants, just like blueberries, the foliage also contains those same wonderful qualities. Again, I apologize. It's a little dark and gloomy out here right now, but in between all this gloom, I hope you're seeing okay, and I hope this is bringing some peace and inspiration into your life. You know what this is? It's an avocado tree. We throw all our avocado pits into the composter, and they always germinate. So we have a ton of avocado trees that we basically are just planting everywhere. There's another one coming up there. So someday, when we're long gone, if the environment holds up, there's going to be probably a good 20 avocado trees on this property that all came from avocados that we ate, which is really pretty cool. There's my ground cherry trellis again. It's the last peach blossom. I have 2 peach trees. Peach trees, they get the leaf curl and other diseases. And I was really aggressive this year to get out here and get the dormant oil on it and, get a good preemptive strike, because I'm not very experienced with the fruit trees. And I sprayed the hell out of it, but I'm still getting a little leaf curl. It's not as horrible as last year. I might have to spray again, but the tree had a meager amount of fruit this year. I'm uncertain why. Maybe I pruned it wrong. And again, I'm always fighting that damn leaf curl. It's a beautiful tree, though, to see bloom out. I'm going to have to read up and figure out how to get more fruit on it, though. I may have over-fertilized it. Believe it or not, that's actually can be really counterproductive. If you fertilize fruit trees at the wrong time, the nitrogen produces more leaves and will destroy the flowers and fruiting process. So here's a bad sign. See this? This discoloration on the leaves? This is what I was trying to spray for. This is a bad early sign of that leaf curl or disease. This pisses me off. I really tried so hard for that not to happen. I'm going to have to find something stronger. That's the challenge too of organic gardening. It's sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you have to break out the big guns for disease and insects, and you just don't have a choice, because if you don't do it, stuff will get eaten alive, and or it will die. Oh, here's another one of those beautiful Cape gooseberries. Or, oh, well, it was good. Okay, I'm going to let you go. This apple tree, Matsuma, it's a green apple. It's both tart and sweet. It is a dwarf, and it produces giant apples for me. This is one of the best apple trees you can buy if you live in Northern California. I wish I could show you the tag. I'll have to put it in the description below, because it looks like the tag is fallen off completely. But it's one of the trees I've been the happiest with in regards to what it produces, the size of the fruit, and how disease resistant and insect resistant it's been. All right, take care of yourselves, and let's take care of each other, because I believe how we treat each other on the streets is our ultimate reality. And more than ever, we have to take care of each other right now and ourselves. And that's why, as a gardener, I find that growing things is a real luxury, and I never take this for granted. And I always grow enough food and herbs and flowers to share with my friends and neighbors. If you like my videos, garden wisdom, money-saving tips, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe. It really helps. And if you could ever just leave that video ad playing a little bit and distract yourself with something, the ads help to pay for my time and energy and materials for this garden. Thanks so much. Bye.